Hey everyone, my name is Ryan. I am one of the coaches and program designer at FitCode. Today we'll be making a new video on our brand new warm-up coming very soon. There was nothing wrong with the old warm-up, however, we're always trying to stay on the latest and greatest research and literature that's out there. This warm-up is going to be heavily based off of something called dynamic neuromuscular stabilization and also something called developmental kinesiology. And basically those are just fancy terms for us really getting our core primed for our workout and also getting our hip and shoulder joint ready for some explosive movement. So our first exercise is going to be similar to the old one. It's called a baby roll to an low oblique sit. So for our setup, we're going to get into a dead bug position. For our dead bug position, we want legs straight up, hands straight up. We want to make sure our neck is not hyperextended. We want to keep it in a good packed position. And then also our low back is not flared and arched up. We want to keep our rib cage down and our low back compressed into the ground. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to roll to our right side. We're going to get to our knee and hand, and then we're going to lift our hips up into a side bridge, and then bring the hips back down, and then we're going to roll ourselves back to that dead bug position. So again, we're going to roll to our right, bring those hips up into the side bridge, just hold here for less than a second, and then bring everything back down. We will do this until the halfway marker, and then once we get to our halfway marker, we'll do the exact same thing to the left-hand side. Our second exercise is going to be a 90-90 to quadruped. So with this one, we're going to get into a 90-90 position. We're basically making two right angles at our knee joints. We're going to lean forward and get a really good hip stretch here. Once we feel a really good hip stretch, we're going to go into a quadruped position. So we're going to lean forward, good hip stretch, and then bring ourselves to a quadruped position. And we're going to repeat this right side again until the halfway. So we're leaning forward. Another key point is when you lean forward, we want to make sure that we're not rounding the low back as we lean forward. We're going to keep that good natural arch there until you feel stuck in a really good hip stretch. Once you hit that point, then bring it to that quadruped position. And again, repeat this here until we hear the halfway. And then all you'll do to switch it up is we just got to turn the other way and then hit the left side here. Our third exercise is a very advanced plank. This is called a DNS plank. So for our setup, we're going to make a triangle with our elbows at about ear height here. So one hip is going to be flexed up really high. The other leg is going to be straight. We're going to make a diamond with our hands, and we're going to get our elbows at about ear height. If you want to go a little bit higher to challenge yourself, you can do so. From here, all we're going to do is we're going to lift our body slightly, and you will feel a lot of core activation here. We're going to keep our chin in a good pack. We don't want to let it jet out. And we're going to hold here until the halfway. Now, for our level 2, I'm going to show you with the other leg in front so you can get a good visual. Instead of being on the knee with the straight leg, you'll be on the foot. So again, our level 1 is where you'll be with the knee down. And then our level 2, if you notice, I'm going to go to my foot, and we're going to hold this position from the halfway until time's up here, okay? So there's going to be a lot of shaking going on in the core. That's completely natural and normal. If it's too challenging, all you have to do is just simply bring your arms down until it's very comfortable on your back. Okay, our fourth exercise is going to be a bear hip lift. This is a great hamstring mobilization exercise. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into our bear position. We're going to be on hands and feet, and from here, we're going to bring our knees off the ground. Our next step is we're going to lift our hips up as high as we can while maintaining a good neutral low back. Make sure we're not rounding the low back. And from here, we're going to just try to straighten the knees as much as you can. Feel a really good hamstring stretch, and then bring it back down. Straighten those knees, bring it back down. We are going to repeat this for the full 40-second duration. Our fifth exercise, same as our old warm-up, there's a lot of great things that we're going to keep in this warm-up still, is our Spider-Man. So we're going to be in our push-up position. We're going to get a foot outside the hand. If the right foot comes forward, we're going to take our right hand and we're going to open up into rotation and then bring everything back. Bring that leg back, left foot outside, left hand. I like to get thumb pointing straight up here. We're going to rotate until we feel a good glute stretch here, and then bring everything back. And we just keep alternating side to side here until time is up. So one more time, left foot in front, left thumb up, rotate yourself back, and keep alternating side to side until that time is up. Our sixth exercise, we're gonna be doing a single leg swing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be on one foot. The free leg that's off the ground is going to be doing a single leg swing. So this is creating a little bit of instability, making our small muscles of the foot really work and keep us balanced. And then when we hear our halfway, make sure you switch sides. One thing we want to avoid is when we do this swing, we don't want to swing to the point that our low back is flexing and extending here. We want the movement purely just through the hip joint. Nothing in the back should be moving at all. Okay, seventh exercise, we are going to use a band. We don't need high resistance, so make sure when you grab a band before the warm-up starts, it's either orange, yellow, or red. Do not grab the black or the purple band. From here, we're gonna be standing. We're gonna grab the ends of the bands. We're gonna create a little bit of tension, and we're gonna be working on a pivot rotational exercise. So, little tension. As we pivot and turn to our right, the left leg needs to pivot here. So tension, we're gonna move to our right, left foot pivots, and then bring everything back, and then vice versa. When I rotate to my left, my right foot pivots here, okay? So we're just moving side to side for the full 40 seconds. This is really getting us ready for a lot of rotational exercises and training our body how to pivot properly instead of twisting through the low back, which eventually leads to a lot of wear and tear here. One other thing with the pivot is make sure you have weight on that pivot foot. A bad pivot is when you have your toes straight and barely touching the ground. We want the crease of the shoe to be bent hard as you do that pivot. So as you pivot, really kind of twist into the ground hard as opposed to being light on that pivot foot. Okay, for station 8, you can keep the band. This is optional. You can either use the band or not use the band depending on your skill level. We're gonna go back to our squat and lateral lunge part of the warm-up. So for our squat, our feet are gonna be on, elbows inside the band and palm in the band with our hands, and we are just going to squat here until the halfway. Once we hear our halfway, we're gonna really widen the stance up, get those elbows back in, and then we're gonna go into a lateral lunge. So remember, with the lateral lunge, one knee is bending while the other one is straight, and we're sinking down and back into that lateral lunge. You can do this without the band as well. Okay, for our 9th exercise, we are keeping this the same. We're gonna be doing our lunge to rotate exercise. So we're gonna lunge forward with the right knee. If the right knee's in front, we're gonna do a little rotational movement to the right and then bring everything back up. Then the left leg will move forward, and that means we're gonna rotate left and then bring everything back up. And we're just gonna alternate legs all the way until our time is up here. Our last exercise, we're gonna be doing a stationary skip to the halfway and then finishing up with a jumping jack. So remember, when we do our stationary skip, opposite arm, opposite leg is moving. So we're here and we're just launching up all the way until the halfway. And then once we hear our halfway, we're gonna be doing our jumping jack. Easier version, one foot steps out at a time as we bring those arms up. And then more challenging version is both feet going out to our normal jumping jack here. Okay, so give this a shot. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the coaches and staff, and we'll see you soon.